Hello, my name is Rodrigo Sanhueza, and I'm going to present about a paper titled Study on the Effect of Visual and Auditory Tools in Foreign Language Teaching. Let's start with the background. So this paper was written by Kerami Ünal, who was professor at the Department of Russian Language and Literature of the Fatih University in Turkey. It was originally written in 2021, but it was accepted to be published by the Journal of Research in Social Sciences and Language the following year, in 2022. So this paper was written and published in the years following the COVID pandemic. As you may remember, during that global health emergency, many educational institutions closed down their facilities and started offering their educational services through online platforms such as Zoom, Google Meets, and Microsoft Teams. And the situation inspired Kerami Ünal to publish and write this paper. Let's talk about the purposes now. First, to explain individual differences in learning styles. Kerami Ünal, after the introduction, starts distinguishing learning styles depending on the main sensory organ used to receive or perceive information. For example, in the case of visual learning, the main sensory organ are the eyes. In the case of auditory learning, the main sensory organ are the ears. Second, to explain the task and function of visual and auditory tools used in foreign language teaching. Third, to explain technological progress in foreign language teaching. These two purposes are related because the visual and auditory tools used in foreign language teaching are the result of recent technological innovation. For example, the use of mobile devices and the use of computers. And finally, to explain the necessity to update teaching methods. At the end of the paper, the author proposed a new way to teach foreign languages. According to Kerami Ünal, traditional methods of teaching languages no longer meet the needs. Why? Well, because they haven't used or they haven't adopted modern technology. Traditional methods, for example, the teaching of grammatical rules, are not so effective when it comes to acquiring or internalizing knowledge. It's better to create new methods in which the focus is on the teaching of the functional aspect of the language. Language is a communication tool, so students of foreign languages need to learn how to communicate themselves using the foreign languages. It's the teaching grammatical rules is not enough. The methodology of the research is just a literature review. Here, we don't need to experiment on a sample. We don't have to compare different variables. It's just a review of other papers published by other authors previously in order to obtain the main ideas from these papers and come up with a proposal to update the teaching of foreign languages. Since this is a review of literature, the theoretical framework draws from many authors. For example, when it comes to learning styles, Kerami Ünal cites Aksoy 2015, who found out that when people learn, they perceive 83% of the stimuli through vision, 11% through hearing, 3.5% through smell, 1.5% through touching, and 1% through tasting. This is not a coincidence. As human beings, we are primates. And the most developed sensory organ of primates are their eyes. Why? Because our ancestors were moving from one tree to the other. So they needed to have a really advanced vision in order to be really skillful, tree climbers. Different species are specialized in a different sensory organ. Many species, particularly those who are genetically closer to us, have 5 senses. However, one of these 5 senses is most developed than the other. In the case of canines, like dogs and wolves, their most developed sensory organ is the nose. That's why the police uses dogs to locate substances like drugs. And as I've said, in the case of human beings, our most developed sensory organ are the eyes. On the other hand, Kaya 2006 made a study to calculate how much people learn by doing different activities. For example, they remember 10% of what they read, 20% of what they hear, 30% of what they see, so 50% of what they hear and see, 70% of what they say, and 90% of what they say and do. So here we see again that vision is a really important sense. However, if we combine both vision and hearing, the capacity to learn of human beings increases even more. And another interesting fact is that people learn the most by saying and doing things. For example, when I prepare myself to record this video, I practiced many times what I was going to say, and I did many things to prepare this presentation. That's why, as English teachers, we should make our students do something, because, as the saying goes, people learn by doing. Referencing a paper by Heron and Nuremberg from 1999 and a book by Belanca from 1997, Kerami Unal points out that people have different innate learning abilities. So we not only learn inherit physical traits like our height, skin color, hair color from our parents, we also inherit learning abilities. And depending on our learning ability, we will be more prone to use one or other sensory organ. Another author cited by this paper is Mr. Gardner, who published his famous book about multiple intelligences in 1993. Gardner identifies 8 types of intelligences. However, Kerami Unal only focuses on the following 3, which are the most relevant when it comes to foreign language learning. First, verbal or linguistic intelligence. Students who are high in this type of intelligence grasp words quickly, and they are able to connect really quickly words that they have learned previously with words that they will learn subsequently. Regarding visual intelligence, as I've said previously, vision is the most advanced sense of human beings. So, as Kerami Unal says in this paper, visual learning is the first learning method. People who are high in visual intelligence perceive what they see photographically, and they are able to transfer this sensory input to the brain by making connections with lines, shapes, and colors. This is the fastest and most permanent way of learning. And regarding auditory intelligence, this is connected to music, because people who are high in auditory intelligence are able to grasp rhythms, musical tones, etc. And according to Belanca 1997, people who are really good at music, who are really skillful when it comes to learning to play a musical instrument, they are also really good at learning foreign languages. Why? Well, because both learning to play music and learning a foreign language require to have a really advanced auditory sense. Now, the next part of the paper is basically the topic itself. Audio and visual devices used in foreign language teaching. Tribunal classifies these devices in 4 categories. Mobile devices, phones and tablets. Second, computers and smartboards. Third, projectors. And finally, TVs. In the case of mobile devices, they are really interesting because they are the most recent technological innovation. They didn't exist 3 decades ago. And they are used a lot by the younger generations. They are characterized by their portability. That means that we can carry these devices from one place to the other. For example, we can be on bus, wearing earphones or headphones, listening to an audio in our target language, while our earphones or headphones are connected to our mobile device. Another interesting aspect of these devices is that they are used as means of communication. So students can use their cell phones and tablets to communicate with one another, but not only between themselves. They can also use these devices to communicate with people who are native speakers of their target language, because through mobile phones and tablets, we are connected to the world. Thanks to the access to the internet. The second category are computers and smartboards. They are basically an essential part of today's classrooms. Every classroom in the modern world have a computer and smartboard. They are used by teachers to create new material or to find new material on the internet. And they are connected to projectors. Teachers use the projectors to forecast what they have in the computer through to the rest of the class. And finally, televisions. I was surprised when I see televisions mentioned in this paper, because they are kind of outdated. However, Tribunal mentions televisions because through the TV, we can find culturally relevant material when we learn a foreign language. For example, a TV show. In a TV show, a student or a language learner can hear how people who are native speakers of the language talk with one another in a more daily life way. In their daily routines, because when you learn a foreign language, both the formal and the informal aspect of the language are important. And finally, we've reached the last part of our presentation. So before saying goodbye, I'm going to mention the results and conclusion of this paper. First, Tribunal pays attention to the evolution of foreign language teaching methods. He makes a contrast between traditional methods and the modern methods. In traditional methods, traditional methods are focused on grammatical structure, language rules, and making translations. But modern methods of language teaching are more focused on the functional aspect of the language, because language is a means of communication. So when you learn grammatical rules, they are basically useless if you don't know how to communicate in a foreign language. Second, foreign language educational institutions should follow technological progress. They should update themselves continuously. Third, tools and devices that activate all sensory organs should be used. Why? Because not everyone have the same learning style. As I said, human beings in general have a really advanced vision. However, some people are really good, have a more advanced auditory organs, or they are really high in their verbal or linguistic intelligence. So that's why we have to use all of the spectrum of tools and devices. And finally, foreign language teaching should be spread to all areas of life, not only the classroom. As I said before, mobile devices can be carried with to anywhere. So students should not only learn inside the classroom, they should also learn their target language in their daily life. And this is the end of our presentation. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you next semester.